It's me again. Listen, sometimes I wonder if I'm even following the correct path. I wonder it almost every day when things don't work out the way I would like them to in the time frame that I would like them to. Sometimes I lack confidence in my own abilities because until a couple months ago, I really didn't have the confirmation in my life or the credit that my gifts were in fact my gifts. And it's almost like my perception back then was, oh my gosh, okay, I'm lacking self-confidence in my gift because maybe I'm not a prophet. Maybe I can't, maybe my intuition's not as strong as I thought it was. No, 420 on the timer. The environment around me, when I was clocking shit because my intuition was so high that it was scaring people and revealing shadows and truths they didn't want to reveal. Instead, what they did was make me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. Except they didn't make it seem that way. The confidence just wasn't there because I didn't see it in real life. I just didn't believe in my ability. Then I got out of that environment. Here's a really good example. I got out of that environment. And it's been to the point where I will do a tarot card reading. And literally within a week, I will meet a new person and have an entire conversation that was that reading. Like everything that came up during that conversation on their part, not mine. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like to the point where I've been like, really? I just did a tarot card reading about this a week ago. And I mentioned their person that I had no idea, their parent's name. And it was in the same tarot card reading about that conversation. And they're like, what? And then this happens to me weekly. I will already a week in advance, sometimes even like farther back than that. For example, me and my twin having conversations. I have in tarot card readings the exact down to the wording of them 3-4 months later before I'd ever spoken to them. The same conversation I had already pulled in a tarot card reading about the twin. And then I started looking back with my ex. There was a crazy situation that happened. And this was a person who didn't want to reveal the truth about anything. They had a lot to hide. And it dawned on me around, I think it was like May or June of 2025. It dawned on me that, oh my God, it's the people around me not wanting to admit what's going on, that my abilities are correct. And I was just not believing in myself because I was allowing my environment to cloud my judgment. But there was a situation where he ended up writing a suicide note. He did not commit suicide. It's a very long story that I don't need to put on this app because mental health does matter, and that's someone else's story. But the week prior to that, like after this happened, I sat down and I was like, because he didn't watch my TikToks account. He never watched my shit until after we broke up. And I literally said, oh my God, I want to sit down with you. I want you to watch this because I just did a tarot card reading about you writing your eulogy, like a person, an energy, down to like all the shit. And that it was in that moment that it started clicking for me. It was my environment, and I just wasn't having confidence in myself. And then it became bigger and bigger things that were taking place in world events. Like world events were taking place after I had a week prior said it in a tarot card reading. It gets to the point where you have to understand, especially if you're tapped in, especially if you're spiritual, the blind faith in yourself has to take place. Because if I kept listening to all those people that entire time, I would have never got to where I am. And granted, again, because of my personal life situation, sometimes I always am like, am I following the path? But it's perspective. When I beat myself up about it, I go back and I look and I'm like, every single thing played out how I said it would. And when I look at those specific situations, it had to happen for so many other things once I got myself out of that headspace. And then it reminds me when I do personal and private tarot card readings and people are like, holy shit, it's so spot on. You said this and this, and that's exactly this situation, or that's that person's name, or that's, all these things. So sometimes I forget that, like, it's the environment. Like, when I first started tapping into sun gazing and I realized I had abilities to work with the sun and the moon, and I confided in someone about it, and they acted like I was crazy. I could have stopped the journey right then, but I would have never done what I've done. I listened through blind faith and drove all the way to New York because the Most High asked me and guided me to. And one day when I tell the story of why I had to go there and what the purpose was, it's insane. It was for the collective, though. It wasn't just for me. It was for the collective. But I kept doubting myself and kept doubting myself. And it's like with the California wildfires. I knew 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance. When I made that bracket, I didn't know I was a year in advance. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a bracket of all the prophecies of everything that would take place in 2025, everything that would crumble down to CEOs. I had visions of the CEO that got shot, everything. And I would share them openly. And I had to look crazy for a year, and I didn't get credit for that. I just had to believe that what was happening was really happening and that I was following the correct path. And now we're at 2026, and almost every single thing on the bracket has already came true, or it's in the process of finishing out. But I had to look crazy in the meantime because nobody in my environment wanted to believe that I was going to be right about what I prophesized. So blind faith really, really is believing in yourself so much when you have spirit within you and you can tap into the collective consciousness, or maybe you're not that far yet, but it's a knowing because you're following your heart, and your environment doesn't make you feel that what is going on with you is correct. Maybe it's the environment. Because when I tell you, I have wiggled my way out of so many insane situations. I have clocked shit months before it happened, including down to everything and within conversations of anyone that comes within my energy. And I see it play out daily, weekly. When I call a death that's going to happen, within 4 days, the death happens. Blind faith is ugly at first. 427 on the timer. It truly is. And then you have to have the duality of it and teeter-totter so you don't look like you're in psychosis. Luckily, anyone who's awakening now, for the most part, they're not going to look like they're going through psychosis because so many people are awakened now. So many people. But when they weren't, and some of us had to go through it by ourselves, and we didn't get the confirmations, it was a long, hard fucking road. But I look back now and I think it's almost like the divine and the Most High needed me to not get that credit and that confirmation from my external, because it pushed me to continuously believe in myself and my gifts without the external environment showing me that it was real. And I think that was the most important piece. And so now, when I doubt myself and my path, because again, from a personal life perspective, it looks like I've completely changed and I'm lost. And to some people, I think a lot of people have shut their fucking trap about it because they're like, well, that's undeniable. But again, I had everyone I ever loved and met come against me at one point, either call me crazy or think that I had lost my fucking marbles or not believe me at all. People laughed and mocked. 9/11 on the timer. Like, pfft. And now it's a little different. People don't even want to come near me because I can simply look at them or be 1,000 miles away and know exactly what's going on whenever I want to, should I focus on it. So when you have days where you don't believe in yourself, especially when you're following the path and you listen to the Most High and you live for the Most High and do like a good soldier does, just remember that it could be the environment not confirming for you. It really, really could be. That could be what's holding you back. Because when your environment doesn't want the truth revealed and doesn't want the shadow illuminated, they're not going to tell you it's there.